Hello. Today I'm going to talk about some really cool things that I have been coming to understand a little bit more this week. I'm really excited to share them with you. I just want to I want to also give you hair progress. So this is almost exactly like minus a week. 3 months after treatment ended, my hair is coming in pretty thick at this point. And so about 3 months into it, and it's starting to look normal. And then I also had the fluid sac, the seroma that replaced my port, and it is almost completely flat. There's a little bit of a raise there, but my body has done really well in taking care of that. So that's really exciting. Lots of great things are happening. My body is healing, and that's really cool. But today I wanted to share with you when it comes to cancer, when it comes to recovery, or when you think cancer recovery, I actually said yesterday it's more like treatment recovery, because that's really what you're recovering from is the treatment and what it has done to your body, and getting your body back up to a healthy immune system, being able to heal itself, being able to function properly, gaining strength back. All these different systems, your hormone system, all these different things are sort of resetting in your body when treatment is done. And so I've been listening to this summit. So a summit is like a grouping of interviews from experts on a certain topic, and what they usually do is they will give you let me see if I can get the lighting a little bit better here. There you go. You can see both of my eyes instead of just one. There we go. So a summit is like a grouping of experts talking about a specific topic, and typically they will give you access to these interviews free for the first week that they're released, and then you have to pay for it if you ever want to re-listen to them or access them or whatever, or you didn't get to listen to all of them. So if there's a topic that I really am interested in, I will subscribe to the free summit and listen to as many as I can with the time that I have. And the one that I've been listening to has been on light and EMF. And this is a topic I'm really, really interested in because EMF and Wi-Fi are shown to have negative health impacts. We know that in rats, even I think it was up to 30 minutes of exposure to cell phone radiation a day over 30 years can cause cancer and things like that. So it's really, really important that we know, like, we keep our cell phones away from our head. We put them in airplane mode as much as we can. We do all these things. And so I've gotten more and more interested in how to protect your body against the effects of Wi-Fi and EMF. And I've gotten rid of my Fitbit, and I make all my family members turn their phones on airplane mode when we sleep. We turn the Wi-Fi off in our home, and all these different things to lessen our exposure and give our body recovery time. So this summit has been fascinating. Well, it's on EMF and light, and what has really ended up hitting me was some of the concepts about light. And so I just wanted to share those with you today, because whether you're going through treatment or you are done with treatment and you're just working on recovery, some of these concepts are really, really powerful, fascinating concepts that just blew my mind this week as I was learning them. So one of the things that's kind of coming out in science, and this is what I love. So I'm a Christian. I'm a very faith-based person. In fact, my faith is really what helped me get through treatment and really any hard time in my life. I don't know how I would do it without believing that there's a purpose and that there's a reason for what I'm going through. And so when I'm learning about scientific things, my brain explodes with happiness when it correlates so well in alignment with what I believe. And this summit has really been doing that in a powerful way. And it's talking about light and the healing ability of light. And basically, to lay the foundation, life can't function without light. Like, it's that important. And I'm learning that we are literal beings of light. So we have this physical body that actually utilizes light photons for all these different processes in our body. So you can say things like, well, protein and amino acids are the building blocks of life, right? Well, yes, but did you know that their activation and behavior is triggered by light signals? Like, like it can't function properly without light. And then there were some studies done. This guy did a study where, well, let me back up for a second. All right, so it used to be theory, and if you know, like traditional Eastern medicine and things like that, you know, we talk about auras and stuff like that, or chakras. And there was a theory that some guy had drawn a human and drawn basically a cage around the human, and those lines represented the light that the human was emitting from his body. Now, at the time that this theory was presented and this drawing was made, there was no way that the technology did not exist to scientifically prove that this was actually happening. But now they do have ways to measure light being emitted from your body, and basically it proved that theoretical drawing of this human with this cage of light around them is accurate. So we use this light to communicate to other beings and to receive communications. I mean, it's totally mind-blowing how powerful light is. So I started listening to these things, and there was one study where they monitored someone that was dying, and they measured the light emission from the body 2 hours prior to I'm thinking about another one. That one was timed every 2 hours. They monitored the light emitting from this guy that was dying, and basically what you saw was kind of low levels of light, and then right as what we would call his spirit leaving his body, or as death kind of came upon him, he emitted a huge amount of light from his body. And then when he passed away, it was gone. So it's like, I started thinking about all these things, and by the way, I'm pulling these from like multiple different interviews I'm listening over the course of many days. I was running the other day and thinking about all of this, and one of the interviews was talking about frequency and light and EMF and all these kinds of things, and how, you know, typically our society's approach is what I said, like I turn off my Wi-Fi, I put little EMF blockers on my phone. So our approach is sort of to protect from the exposure, right? But our bodies emit frequency and light, and if we can regulate and keep that healthy, it basically can protect us from this other exposure. And so I was running the other day, and I was like, well, what is like, there are things that, I guess, devices that you can use that kind of assist that process in your home. But I was thinking, what's the ultimate frequency? What's the ultimate source of light? And it started clicking, and I was like, oh, this is so exciting. Because if we are beings of light, and I started thinking about the Holy Spirit living within you as a Christian, that's like the ultimate healing frequency. That's like the ultimate light that you can possibly have within your body. So there were some other comments about how when your body is healthy, it emits certain kind of light. And when it's unhealthy, like if you have an unhealthy spleen, for example, it's either emitting less light, no light, or pathogenic light. And sorry if I'm kind of like jumping from thing to thing. My brain's kind of like trying to connect all the dots here and make sure I get it all out. So there's another study that they did where all these people were in a room, and they asked them just to think about emitting light, like from their heads, and they measured it, and when they thought about it, they did emit more light from that area. So not only are you able to control it to an extent, you're also able to control what part of your body that's happening in. So when I'm connecting this with my spiritual beliefs, I went back to Genesis, and I was thinking, okay, what was the order of creation? And God created the void first. Literally the second thing he created was light. That was it. So he created the void, then he like basically said, okay, there's this universe here, this thing that I'm creating, and then it needs light. So when you're creating something, what do you typically start with? You typically start with the foundation of what you're going to build on top of, right? So you can kind of assume from Genesis 1 that light is literally the foundation of life. And what I just think is so cool is that science is now backing that up and explaining how light activates all these properties in your body, from how you break down and utilize foods, to how your amino acids behave and what they do, to healing opportunities and all this kind of stuff. And then I started connecting, okay, well, in the New Testament, it says that God is light, and go back to Genesis, and it talks about how we are created in his image. And so it's just super cool that God is light, and basically we're learning that we are beings of light, and that it's the foundation of life itself. And when you think about having access to the Holy Spirit, then you have access to this tremendous light, this tremendous healing frequency, this tremendous ability to, if you don't suppress it, but if you tap into it, I guess you could say, become enlightened. You speak to, you're receptive to the Holy Spirit, and you're really engaged in the process. What kind of healing opportunities does that provide? So I'm not going to lie, this past couple days, I have been envisioning light coming from this area of my body, because that's where my tumor was, and that's where, my seroma and everything. So light coming out, healing, and it changes the way you think about your food as well, because when there's like light photons that are involved in your ability to utilize the food that you're eating as well. And so really, you can even look at what you're eating in a different way, and you can pray that God utilizes the frequency and the light and everything to be healing in your body. So anyways, it's just all these really cool connections. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so neat. And I thought that was really, really cool. But especially when they monitored the light from the person that was dying, and just thinking about how powerful that is in terms of us, literally our spirits being a light being. We're like a light entity, right? Our eternal spirit is a light entity, and that left the physical body. But then our physical body is made in a way that it needs and utilizes light. So a couple other thoughts before I wrap off here, because I know I'm kind of rambling and just sharing a lot of crazy stuff. So EMFs and Wi-Fi and all these things, they can affect our cell behavior. So in our culture today, we've really demonized absorbing sunlight. Like, go outside, you put your sunscreen on. A lot of foundations have sunscreen. It's like, cover up, don't even absorb the sun ever. And that has really become damaging, because there's so many healing things that come from the sun. Like, we literally need it to produce certain factors of our immune system. By the way, vitamin D from a supplement is great, but it doesn't do everything that getting vitamin D and synthesizing it from the sun exposure does. You can overdose on supplements. You cannot overdose on vitamin D from the sun, because your body will simply stop producing it when it hits the level that it needs. So that's like, it's just, you can't outsmart nature. You can't outdo these things that God created for us to work in synergy with. And so, yes, don't get a burn. You don't want to burn. And I know that when you're in cancer treatment, sometimes you can be more sensitive. But if you're not sensitive, or you're in recovery, or whatever it is, getting sunlight can be absolutely crucial. Red and infrared light comes from the sun. And what are we finding out today? But that red light therapy and infrared therapy is tremendously healing for detoxification, for your immune system, for tissue healing, for all these different levels of healing that people get infrared saunas for, and red light therapy, and they'll place the red light over an area that they want to work on healing, and all these different things. And that really can go back to the fact that we just don't get enough sunlight. If we were absorbing enough sunlight day to day, then we may not be seeing these amazing results from red and infrared light therapy, but we are. And so getting enough sunlight is really, really important. But then counteracting, like, we can't all biohack, and we can't all buy all these fancy devices and everything to counteract EMF. So you can do some of the things I mentioned before, but another really, really, really great thing that you can do is to simply go outside barefoot and walk or sit. Like yesterday, what I've been doing is, like, when I run, I take my shoes off and I walk 5 to 7 minutes after. Or yesterday afternoon, I was reading a book, and I went out in the back and I took my shoes off and I placed my feet on the ground while I was reading a book. So not only are you absorbing the sun, but you're grounding, and grounding actually helps your body's electrical charge. So you're supposed to have like a slightly negative charge, and all these EMFs and Wi-Fi, they disrupt your cell behavior and your cellular electrical charge. And so when you reconnect to the Earth's natural magnetic pulse, it helps you detox the clutter, so to speak, from Wi-Fi and EMF. It helps with anxiety. It helps reset your circadian rhythm, so it helps you get better sleep. It just helps do all these things. And I bet if you put your phone away, you take your Fitbit tracker off your wrist and you go outside and ground for 15 minutes, I bet that you will feel calmer and more at peace and more connected. And there's this tremendous healing ability that comes from grounding and absorbing sunlight and doing both at the same time and being out in nature. And so those are some really, really easy things that you can do today, like basic easy steps that I've been trying to incorporate. Anyways, I hope this wasn't too disconnected and out there. I hope that my thoughts were cohesive enough to make sense. My brain has just been making so many connections as I'm listening to the summit, and I really want to research more and more about it, so I continue to learn about these healing things. But do some grounding, get out in the sun if you're able, if you're not sensitive to the sunlight. And then really another thing that you can do that can just be super simple, even if you're tired and in bed and healing, is to close your eyes and visualize light coming out of your body. And I think of healing light as like a white light or a gold light, whatever that light that feels really good and healing to you. Just visualize it and have it maybe focusing in a place that you have a tumor, and just have light bursting out of that, because like I said, light does not naturally emit from sick parts of your body. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about it, pushing through that and conquering that. And then if you are a Christian, praying for that ability, praying for that healing ability, praying that God will use the frequencies from your food and the light, the healing ability of the Holy Spirit, and all these things in your life to create that light and to let it flow in a healing way through your body. So hope that wasn't too weird for you today, but I really felt like I had to share, because there are some really basic ways that we can incorporate this, but they're really being shown to be very powerful healing tools. So hope y'all are having a great day. I'll talk to you soon.